Okay. Try to ignore the noise in the back. It's raining hard outside, so and I'm sitting in the bathroom just because this is pretty much the quietest in my place that where I can actually speak and think without having a bunch of noise in my ear. But okay, so LeBron James has officially lost in the 2021 NBA playoffs. It's officially over. Okay. I'm surprised that the Lakers did not pull the series out. I underestimated how hungry Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and the Phoenix Suns were. Okay, I forgot how, I really didn't acknowledge how deep they were as a team. You know? Now, that's not to say that LeBron doesn't have a squad with him. I mean, you have Dennis Schroeder, who has been far and away one of the most talented point guards coming off the bench over the past 4 years or so, from his time in Oklahoma City and his time with the Lakers, even in Atlanta. I mean, but in Atlanta he was the starter. But I'm talking about when he was in Oklahoma City and LA. Dennis Schroeder is an incredibly I'm trying to think of the word. I want to say utility. I want to use utility. Like his production is very high, especially for a point guard coming off the bench. I mean, he's one of those guys that can go off for 15 to 20 points, get you about 5 to maybe 10 assists on a really, really good night. And coming off the bench, that is incredibly helpful. Dennis Schroeder is a really good bench player. I mean, I wouldn't say so much as a starter, but he's a solid starter, but he's an even better bench player. Okay? You have Dennis Schroeder, you have Montrezl Harrell, who, from what I understand, didn't play as much as people would expect. I mean, he's not really out there at all. I don't even know if he played in the series. You got Kyle Kuzma. Let me say this, man. People are giving Kuzma a really hard time. Okay? But Kuzma has not played anywhere near his rookie season because of one thing. LeBron arrived in LA. Now, I said this before, and I'm pretty sure other people have said this already. The way LeBron James plays basketball, it alienates his teammates. This is why I say he doesn't make anybody better. He does not make anybody better. His style of play alienates his teammates. This is why when LeBron goes out and you're expecting his teammates to at least play somewhat of the same level of basketball as if he was in there, and they don't, and they look even worse with him not in there, it increases his value while also incredibly diminishing his teammates' value. Because everybody's wondering, why, oh my God, he's playing with a bunch of bums. Look at him. They don't know what to do out there. And that's because the way that their offense is constructed is geared towards LeBron being the primary ball handler. It's geared towards LeBron making the decisions. And when you don't have LeBron out there, they don't know how to compensate for what it is he brings. And they don't know how to make the plays work because they're designed for LeBron. This is why they don't play well. This is why his teammates don't. It's like when Allen Iverson was in Philadelphia. Allen Iverson was ball hungry. I mean, this dude was hero ball in every sense of the word. And that offense in Philadelphia was geared towards what Allen Iverson did well. Allen Iverson had to go off for 30, 40, 50. He had to go off for that because the offense was geared towards him. The team's success was based on his offensive production. You wasn't going to expect Tyrone Hill, Dikembe Mutombo, Eric Snow. You wasn't going to expect those guys to take on a heavy scoring load. You wasn't going to expect those guys to have high production because the offense, the team was geared around Allen Iverson. This is why Allen Iverson is a legend in people's eyes, is because he was so productive. And that's because the system was designed. Ask yourself this: how could Isaiah Thomas, right? Not Isaiah Thomas from Detroit, Isaiah Thomas when he played in Boston. How did Isaiah Thomas go an entire season averaging 28 points a game being that size? That's because everything was geared towards him. Everything was designed to accentuate what it is he did best. This is why you could take a 5'9" guy and he could average 28 points a game, which is incredibly misleading. And that's because the system was built around him. He was the scoring. He was the spark plug, and everybody else was the defenders and was the kick out guys. Right? That's what LeBron does. LeBron is that guy. If LeBron does not go off, if LeBron is not able to intimidate the defense enough to scare them into mistakes, his teammates won't play well because all they're doing is standing around. Go look at one of LeBron's games. Go look at one of the games where he's playing well and his teammates aren't playing so well. You'll notice all they're doing is standing around. He'll dribble. He'll either drive, finish at the rim, or kick out, or he'll pretend to drive and then do a step back mid-range jump shot or a step back three. Like, this is what he does. And he's so gifted at it, nobody can stop it. But this is what you do. And I keep saying this, man. I don't know why teams don't just do it. Okay, this is how you stop LeBron. This is how you beat LeBron, right? You let him go off. You lock everybody else down. No double teams, no rotations, no nothing. You stay committed to your man. That's it. You stay with your man. And if there is a switch due to pick and rolls and shit, switch real quick, but stay with your man. LeBron should be averaging about 60 points a game because nobody else is going to beat us. One man cannot defeat an entire team. But when teams start to get in their head too much and they start making mental mistakes on defense, that's when LeBron takes advantage of it, and that's when his teams take advantage of it. But if you lock them down, no three-pointers, no finishing at the rim, no nothing, you lock them down, LeBron can't win. LeBron can't. Now, when he has a guy like a D-Wade, a Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, it makes it easier for him. You know? It makes it easier for him. But when he doesn't have those guys, you have to abuse his role players. That's what you have to do. Okay? Now, the reason why I'm making this video is because now the narrative is LeBron is injured. And I made a video some time ago after his groin injury, 2 years ago? Or a year ago? No, 2 years ago. I made a video saying this was going to be the thing now. Because groin injuries are, they have a tendency to come back. It's like herpes, you know. You may not see it for a while, but eventually it's going to come back, right? I knew, and I said this, I don't think LeBron got hurt at all. And isn't it funny that LeBron goes down? LeBron goes down with these groin injuries, but he always manages to come back right before the playoffs. I mean, it's like, damn, it's like the injury knows, okay, LeBron needs to play, so we need to get the fuck out of here. Like, it's like the injury knows that he needs to play. But when LeBron plays well, nobody says shit about a groin injury. But if LeBron team loses or LeBron doesn't play well, oh man, you know he's out there on one leg. I mean, he's out there with that injury, man. It's still nagging him. He's still injured, right? Like, that's the way it is. Now, let's look at some numbers, man, because, all right, he had the groin injury in 2018, right? He missed 55 games, okay? He managed to make it back for the playoff push, but they didn't make the playoffs. And then once they realized he wasn't going to make the playoffs, they just sat his ass, right? So, when I made my video, like, a long time ago, I said, it's funny how this dude missed like 18 straight games which is I think maybe somewhere around a month and a half or 2 months worth of basketball. Like, he missed some time, right? And the first game where he came back, this dude played 40 minutes. He played 40 minutes on a groin injury that he wasn't fully healed from, apparently. Right? How do you play 40 minutes? Those 40 minutes were more like that was the. All right, the previous game before he got hurt, he didn't play as many minutes as he did when he got back, apparently from the injury. Right? His first game back, they didn't try to ease him into it, nothing. He came back, played 40 minutes, and put up damn near a triple-double. Like, this is what makes it so unrealistic. Like, I can't see it. And you can't tell me that a guy who has been as durable as LeBron James over the course of his career, sure, he's had minor things here and there, but who's to say that he's not resting, man? Like, we've seen LeBron take hits. We've seen LeBron, like, initiate body contact with some big guys, man. This dude's jumping all over the place. I mean, this dude is really, like, he's exerting a lot of energy up and down the court. You know, more than anybody else. This is what makes him so special, is because he's able to move faster, jump higher at that body height and body size than anybody else. But apparently it's not wearing on his body. Now, all of a sudden, it's wearing on his body. But it only comes when it's like after the All-Star break and right before the playoffs. That's the only time it comes. That's the only time we see it, man. He's always healthy for the All-Star game, and he's always healthy right before the playoffs. That's not strange to anybody, man. Like, in 2020, like, he didn't have to worry about it because the pandemic hit and they shut everything down. So he had 5 months to rest. And I wouldn't be surprised if he spent most of that time quarantining himself from his family, so he could be ready for that bubble shit. Because, like, people really wasn't ready mentally for the bubble, man. They were not ready for that isolation. They were not ready for it. But it seemed like the Lakers were the only team that was ready for that shit. Because, there were teams that played better than you expected. Phoenix went 8-0 in the bubble. They went 8-0. That's not strange to anybody. They went 8-0 in the bubble. They beat the Clippers. They beat the Nuggets. I think they beat the Lakers as well. They beat a bunch of teams. And this was before Chris Paul got there. The Suns went undefeated. The Miami Heat, who is usually a first and second round exit. And I've been saying this all year, man. I've been saying this shit because people keep talking about, well, Miami is going to make a run, because they got Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero. Like, no, they're usually a first or second round exit every fucking year before Butler got there. Usually a second or first round exit every year. They win about 45 to 50 games if they get to 50. My bad. If they get to 50, and then they're usually ousted in the first or second round. And last year was an anomaly, man. They made it to the finals. All right, but I don't know, man. So this year, you go over, look at his numbers. He averaged 25 points a game with a groin injury. 7-7. Actually, averaged significantly less assists, but that's kind of I don't know. That 5-month layoff should be taken into account why his averages in some of his categories were so high. But look at that. I mean, he's averaging pretty much the same numbers he's been averaging his entire career. I would think somebody with a nagging groin injury would have a dip in his numbers, man. Let's see how many minutes he's been playing. 33 minutes a game. 33 minutes a game, man. 33 minutes a game. But this is what I'm saying, man. Like, when you have a nagging injury, we've seen what it does to players. We've seen what it does. And it's just weird timing that LeBron tends to get hurt right after the All-Star break, miss a significant amount of time after the All-Star break, and then he comes back right before the playoffs. It's not strange to anybody. Or are we going to continue to listen to the narrative that this dude is actually hurt? He's not hurt. Trust me. LeBron is one of the most protected athletes in NBA history. One of the most protected athletes. He might be the most protected athlete in NBA history. I mean, he's up there with Bird and Magic, man. He's up there with Jordan. I mean, as some of the most valuable assets to the league. I'm sure if this dude was hurt, they would do everything in their power to try to alleviate the problem so that way he can get back out there and play at full strength. But for some reason, he'll go down with this nagging groin injury. I believe that you could get surgery for a groin injury. I believe so. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on it. That's just my thought on the surgery aspect of it. I believe I've heard it, but my memory is fuzzy with shit like that. But there could be something that he could do to at least limit the problem. And one thing is limit your minutes. Limit your minutes. You're playing 33 to 35 minutes a game every year. Why don't you knock that down to maybe 27 to 30? You know, I mean, same thing with Anthony Davis. I mean, people condemn load management, but for some players, it's important because it limits the amount of wear and tear their body has to go through. You know, I don't know, man. That's just my thoughts on this, man. I'm surprised that the Lakers lost. I thought even though the Phoenix Suns were a lot deeper, I thought that having LeBron James and Anthony Davis, well, excluding Anthony Davis now because he's been hurt pretty much all. And that's another thing. Let me say this, man. Anthony Davis has had an injury-prone career since he's been in the league. In New Orleans, he was hurt either every other year or every year. Sometimes, he would miss a lot of games consecutively. Year after year, he would miss a significant amount of games. Anthony Davis has had an injury past in New Orleans. Why is it a surprise now? Now we want to kick his back in. Why is it a surprise now that this guy is getting hurt? He was getting hurt in New Orleans, but he was so fucking talented. People were looking past it. But I don't know, man. Those are my thoughts. Tell me what you think. Love to hear it. All right.